What's going on, people? What's going on, people? We are back. We are back. Welcome to Pro Fan Talk. My name is Marcus Thomas. We got a lot of stuff to get into. Man, another week. Whole bunch of stuff got on, man. The NFL is the gift that keeps on giving. We had so much stuff. The coaching carousel is just off the chain right now. You had the national championship game. So much stuff is going on. Got a guest. I've been telling you I'm getting a guest. Finally got a guest. And if you saw the post, you know it's my buddy Jim Ballard from the Scottish Claymores. He helped us win the championship. We'll get to him in a second. But we got so much stuff going on. It is crazy. It is playoff time. And we're here now. This is it. This is when it's happening right now. This is why you play the game. This is why you play the game right here. You want to get to the playoffs. When you get to the playoffs, you have a one-game championship every week. One game. All you got to do is win the game that you're playing that day. You don't have to be the best team. You could be the worst team. We go back to that any given Sunday phrase. Any team can be beat on any given Sunday. That's what the playoffs are. You got to bring your best that day. And that's where we are. All we want is a puncher's chance, and we got it. Everybody's on equal playing field. I'm watching all the shows, and everybody is giving their prognostications and all of that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, it don't matter. When you step on that field and you strap it up, that's when it goes down. That's what you play for. Them playoff checks and them playoff opportunities. It is the best time of year because you never know what's going to happen. You might expect the blowout and get one of the best games you've ever seen. It's going to be crazy. Do the Eagles stand a chance? Absolutely. We'll get into that more a little bit later. But glad we're here and glad to be there. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again tonight. Nobody in their right mind thought that our Eagles was going to be right here in this position at the beginning of the year. Nobody. Everybody was looking to give Nick Sirianni the boot, especially after that Flowers comment. He took major heat for that. But he got it together, and we are in playoff position. I'm not sure. I got to look. I'm not sure what the record is. Is he the I know Jalen Hurts is the first rookie quarterback, or the youngest quarterback in the Eagles organization to be in the playoffs, I believe. I'm not sure about Sirianni. Is he one of the first rookie coaches in Eagles history? I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. I have to do some homework on that one. But nobody expected him to be here. He is here, and we're gonna get it done this weekend. So we're gonna get it on and popping. But for the first time on the Pro Fan Talk, I got an opportunity to get a guest. So he is my first guest on the show. I'm very honored and proud to have him. But before we introduce him, I want to show you guys one thing. Got to bring it up. Had to do it. Y'all see this? See what that is? That, my friends, is a championship ring. And when you are talking about championships, it doesn't matter who you're playing for, how you get it, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, Summer League, Community College, World League, NFL, NBA, I don't care. When you win the championship, you win a championship. And this dude helped us bring a championship to the Scottish Claymores back in 96. And I want you guys to welcome my buddy Jim Ballard. He was our quarterback, and he's the one that led us to the promised land. Jim, you in there? What's going on, buddy? How you been?
Doing well, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
Absolutely, man. It's been a long time. We've been going back and forth talking about, past times because every time we talk, man, we always go back to our Scotland days, man, because we had so much fun there. But
it was, man. It was a special time, and you said it, man. When you win a ship, it's the culmination of all the hard work and My journey through that season was a little bit tougher than a lot of other guys, as you know. I had to wait my turn, and I thought I had a pretty good preseason and thought I beat out Steve. And, I didn't get the opportunity to start. Steve led us, 5-0, and he got hurt game 8, and I got an opportunity. And you know what they say, man, when you get an opportunity, you don't know when you're going to get the next one. And when you get on that field, you got to lay it out, be ready for the opportunity to make the most of it. And I did, and was able to parlay that into 4 more games. And with the culmination of winning the World Bowl at home, which was unbelievable in front of our crowd. And it was a great game. I went back and watched it because it was 25 years last year. And, you see Madden and Summerall and, Bradshaw and all these dudes. And it was like, man, how cool. I mean, and I was a D3 guy, so it wasn't like I, had a lot of, because you were 1AA. I mean, you weren't on TV very often. And I mean, I think I was on primetime one time, and I was a national championship game in '93. So that was the extent of my big time showcase. But what a great time that was, man. The relationships that we have, and reconnecting through Facebook with you and a lot of the guys we played with has been awesome. And I'm thrilled to be able to do your show, man. And how cool is it that you're Mr. Eagles and fan page and low old, man. You can't outrun Mount Union. We got a Mount Union guy leading the Eagles.
There you go.
Flying, baby. Flew him into the playoffs with the plant, grew all the roots.
All the roots,
my boy
man.
Sirianni's doing good, man. I've known that family, which, I'm sure you're going to ask a lot of questions about. I've known the family for, over 30 years. And, man, to see him grow into the coach that he is today has just been awesome.
I remember when we with that week when the flower statement came out and me and you talked, and the one thing you kept saying, and I agreed with you, but I know how, the Philly fans can sometimes, they can be a little bit rough. But we were talking about, you kept saying, you got to give him time. You got to give him time. He's a rookie. You have to give him time. And he finally got his time, and the light bulb finally went off, and he's making it happen. And any of the naysayers, or whether you like Sirianni or not, you got to give him his props, because of where we were and where we are now is night and day. I remember I posted earlier in this week, who was it? Steve Smith. Steve Smith made some comments after game that was pretty rough. And to go from that to now that's a complete 180, man. And you've got more experience than probably anybody with Nick Sirianni, man. What is his mindset like, man? What did you know way back then, back in the arena days?
He's he's the youngest. Well, think about it this way: if you're the youngest of 3 brothers before anything else, right? He was the youngest of 3 brothers, and his dad is an alpha male who, in his own right, is one hell of a football coach. He's in the New York. I forget what Hall of Fame he's in, if it's the State Hall of Fame, but he won, I think, 2 or 3 state championships. He won a ton of games when he coached in high school. He really laid the foundation for every one of his sons. They all coached. Mike Sirianni is a really good friend of mine. We won the national championship in '93. We graduated together. He's the winningest coach in W&J history, and he's won everywhere he's gone. His other brother, Jay, also won a couple state championships in high school. So you're the youngest brother of those 3. It's like growing up Gronkowski or Watt. That, and they're an Italian family. So there's a short fuse.
Right.
Right.
For sure.
So there was battles like crazy to compete, no matter what they did, whether it was, 33 in basketball, or tag or Monopoly or whatever game he wants to play. I mean, you guys heard the stories about how, when he signed on as a head coach, he was playing, I believe, rock, scissors, papers with guys and competing, because he wanted to see how they competed. But I mean, that's Nick Sirianni in a nutshell. I mean, he's relentless in the way he works. He's had great mentors. He was able to obviously play for Coach Larry Karras, which, in my opinion, is one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. All he did was win 11 national championships and won 92.9% of his games.
That's crazy.
He's also in the College Football Hall of Fame. So he was able to play for him and see how he coached him. And then he was able to coach with him for a couple years before his journey started. And, I know he still talks to him quite a bit. that door is always open with Coach Karras. I mean, there's obviously a lot of coaches now that are really making a lot of noise at a lot of levels. Matt Campbell at Iowa State, the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma is Alex Grinch. The offensive coordinator at Iowa State is Tom Manning. I mean, and on and on. I mean, in all divisions. His impact on the game has been unbelievable. But to be able to spend time with him in a mind like that, I mean, Coach Karras is so well respected. Like when he would go to coaching conventions, I mean, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, I mean, they all seeked him out to talk to him because he was so cerebral. And the one thing, looking back when I played for him, was that he had a psychology degree in the 80s. So he understood how to relate to players. And I think Nick is really good at that because he's a young coach. Yep. You see a lot of these coaches like Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. I said it from the jump. He's never, ever going to make it. I watched him. I've seen him at banquets. I've interacted with him. Ego. Yeah. Unbelievable. It came to the door.
Big head.
That wasn't big head, which is fine if you're in college. You can punish guys. Just like the whole thing with the kicker. Supposedly he kicked the kicker or something in practice and said, "I'm the head coach. I'll do what I want." I mean, yeah, you can do that in college, but I mean, the guys are making $25-30 million. It's like, what have you done in the NFL?
Like
there was just no way he was able to relate to players.
Nah,
he wasn't able to relate to players, and Nick is really good at that because he's young, and he's not, in the box. He does things that you're like, especially in Philly, as you said, really tough crowd to please. The media is brutal. I mean, I played with the Bills. I mean, obviously I got experience in that kind of, the writers and everything. They're brutal. And he's done a great job. I mean, all he did was start out 2-5 and righted the ship. And he's not only trying to figure out the offense, but he's got to control the defense. He's got to control the personnel. I mean, he's a rookie coach. And I mean, you got to give him time. I mean, you might coach with guys at other places, but when you bring them in as coordinators, new coordinators, it's a different dynamic,
much different.
And so they're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Then you got basically a rookie quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who they're trying to find out what he's good at. How can we utilize him? What's his skill set? What plays do we run? How do we get him going? Then you get him going and you score 35 points and then the defense gives up 40 and you're like, shit, what do we got to do to get the defense going? Do we need to blitz more? Do we need to change coverages? Do we need to simplify things? He's got to, get on the defensive coordinator and say, hey, here's what I think we should do, or we need to do this, or we need to figure this out. So, I mean, all this is getting thrown at him. And, as a rookie coach in a hostile environment, as far as with fans and media, and, he started slow and, like I told you, I know the kid. I've coached him in the Arena League. I've watched him grow as a player, as a coach. The guys that he was able to coach with. I mean, Frank Reich, what an unbelievable guy to work with and to be mentored by. I mean, he's done a great job in Indianapolis, except for that that slide at the end, which really cost him. Man, that one hurts.
Everybody has one. Everybody has one.
But he's been able to spend time with guys that he can learn a lot from, and take some of the things that this coach does well and this coach does well, and then he throws his own flavor in there. And some of the things he might say might be off the wall and
a little weird, but he backs it up, and he finally got, because we always talk about the Philadelphia fan base, the fanatics, the true fanatics. They are a tough crowd, but they are educated. They're very passionate. And as when you come with the real, if you're genuine and or if you're fake, Ben Simmons, if you're real or if you're fake, the Philadelphia faithful will sniff you out in a hot second. And even though
don't know,
a lot of people, and they gave Sirianni a hard time, and he was struggling. So some of it, rightfully so, some of it was overboard, but that's just the way fans go. But when you start to turn it around, and then you start getting those guys that want to begrudgingly give you your props, as far as Philly is concerned, then you got them. It was like, because despite it, when you start winning, they start loving
everything.
You still got to get over that. Go ahead.
You know the saying, man. Winning cures all, right? It doesn't matter what's going on in the periphery. Hey, did we get that dub this week?
Get that
dub. But it was ugly. Again, don't say
you dub. It just says dub.
Nope. The dub is the dub, especially, as a rookie coach. It doesn't matter. Just find a way to walk off the field with the win.
Yeah.
And if it's ugly, it's ugly. If you blow them out, great. If you just find a way. And it was excuse me. I think he did, as the season progressed, as the wins started coming, and then the last week in Dallas or playing Dallas and Philly, obviously you want to get that win.
Right.
But I think he made the right choice.
I agree.
You got to put Hurts down, let him sit out, let him rehab that ankle, take your best players out. You're already in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're in. That's the big picture. You're
so let's go in with our best foot forward.
Let's have the best guys out there to play and not worry about risking, any injuries or, getting them a few more reps. I mean, you've already played 16 games. If you don't have the reps and everything figured out by now, you're in trouble going into Tampa Bay anyways.
Right.
So you let your guys heal. I think he made a good decision to do that. They ended up losing, but you know what? Some other guys got a chance to step up. They got some experience.
Absolutely.
You know what that's like, man? It's like, man,
Absolutely.
I can't you're just waiting to get on the field. Now it's an opportunity. And guys get hurt. Guys get nicked up. Then it's next man up. It's like, man, I just got a good run last week in week 17 or 18. I got some plays. So now you go in and that next guy up might have played last week, which he might not have played if the other guys weren't hurt. You get some reps and now you go in and we might see some guys that might not be big name guys that make plays this week.
Absolutely. And you get, even though as much disdain as I have for the Cowboys, at the second half of that game, I'm looking at Dallas and I'm looking at McCarthy and I'm like, yeah, you might want to get Dak out of there. Because I saw what happened to, who was that, Gallup? Gallup got injured. And I was like, if something happens to Dak, man, he is going to hear it. So all of that was kind of unnecessary. I don't know what point they were trying to prove, or I don't know if they were trying to make incentives. Whatever the situation was, that was a risky move by him. It paid off, but since it was nothing to gain either way, on either win or lose, there was nothing to gain from it other than stats and incentives. So maybe somebody on the Cowboys got that bonus in that check this week, but that was a very risky move on his part. So we'll see how they fare without Gallup, because he's one of their best players. So
I agree. He's a guy that takes double coverage away from CD and some of the other receivers they have and guys out of the backfield. And I mean that is a big injury. And like you said, for what? If you've got to play 3 quarters to pick up a bonus, what are we doing?
Exactly.
Is it worth that risk? I mean, it's not. I mean, if it's our first or second quarter thing, like I believe, Gronkowski. How about Brady stayed in the game to make sure his boy got that bonus?
Right.
I don't know if you saw that or not.
I did.
Pretty cool move.
See that. Very
I didn't see it.
A lot of people didn't like it, but it is what it. I'm not mad at him for that.
No, man, he wants to take care of his boy. I mean, that's
absolutely.
I didn't see at what point of the game that was. But again, they were behind, and they were fighting for a home field advantage.
Yeah,
so
and it also helps
to keep playing in that situation. Philly, you're already in, you're on the road. That's it. There's no other reason to play, because you're not going to get home field if you win.
Right.
You're still going to be on the road, so you don't play those guys. But for Tampa, you play those guys longer because you're trying to keep that record high and to be able to play at home and have home field advantage. But the more you're around the game, Marcus, like myself, sometimes the less it just makes sense. You scratch your head. For example, why did Miami fire Flores? I don't get it.
I don't get it either, man. You got a young coach taking that team in the right direction, and you got an absentee owner coming in, changing things. I don't get it. I don't know what the logic is. And now the pressure is on him. Now, obviously, it's only so much pressure you can put on the owner. It's his toy box. He can do what he wants to. But at the end of the day, when them people stop coming to the games, you saw what they did with Shad Khan. And Shad Khan made the right decision in getting rid of Meyer. And they still showed up to the game in clown suits at the end of the year. You know what I mean? So when the fans start taking an active interest or an active, disdain for that team, that stuff starts translating into ticket sales, and they'll go downhill, especially if they don't like you, they don't want to deal with you, they don't want to spill their money on you. So it's a domino effect. I don't understand. Whoever they get better come in and do a hell of a job, because he got huge shoes to fill, because he got to fill up the hole that Flores made. Now he's got to rebuild those relationships, because you got a lot of players that were upset that Flores left. That's the thing that in as an analogy to what Sirianni's doing, Sirianni is just getting to the point, in my opinion, where now he knows his personnel. He knows his guys. He's got those relationships solid now. Flores had that too. Now you bring in a new guy, and all that stuff gets blown out of the water. So now you got to start back to square one, and you hope that the guy you're bringing in has the type of personality that the guys in your locker room can take to, because you already know that does not always happen.
You're exactly right. And the bottom line is with Nick and with Flores, he had the locker room. He had guys believing in him, in the system, in each other, in the day-to-day. There was nothing left to sell. I mean, they were having success. I mean, they lost. They started 1-7. They won. They beat New England, I think, week 1 or whoever it was, and then they lost 7 in a row, and then they ripped off 7 in a row again. I mean, he had guys bought in. I mean, to come back from 1-7. I mean, I went through a 2-8 season with when I came back to Scotland in the 8. That was tough. That wasn't tough. That wasn't 17 games. I mean, then they flipped the script and they started winning. And what he did with Tua was, I thought, pretty darn good. I mean, I'm still not sold on Tua as the guy. I think he was really good in the system that they had for him. A lot of RPO stuff, and they just told him, don't turn the ball over. And if that's the kind of quarterback you want, fine. That's okay. It's kind of like Jalen in that way. I mean, they're not asking him to win games until they do. But it's not a lot that they're saying, hey, we got to go out this week and we need to we're going to throw about 55 or 60 times, and we need you to show up, because we're going to struggle to run the ball against them.
Right.
But then again, Philly's the number 1 rush offense in the league.
You go with what works.
But if that does happen, you play to your strengths until you can't. But
absolutely,
the bottom line is those guys had the locker room and still have the locker room, and you fire him, like you said. Who are you going to bring in?
I still don't. That's the $1 million question, because I don't understand how a lot of these NFL coaches, when they get to that level, and even the ego that comes with it, I don't understand how so many coaches still don't understand the point of you have to be able to know your personnel and relate to them, and how so many of these guys try to put round pins in square holes. You can't do that, but a lot of people try to force it. I'm not a big Belichick fan, but I do admire the fact that Belichick can take anybody and say, what do you do well? That's what we're going to do with you. We're going to take what you do best, and I'm going to make it work for me. They're not trying to, you're going to fit my system. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. You got to understand your players and, put them in the right positions so they can succeed. And I don't understand why it seems like a lot of coaches, they fail because they're trying to do it their way, as opposed to, you can have your way, but you have to adjust based on who you have around you. And for some reason, it seems like a lot of coaches don't get it. I don't know.
As you know, Nick Sirianni and I both played at Mount Union. I played there from 1991 to 1993. Nick was there from 99 to 2003, I believe. Larry Karras retired and won 11 national championships. When I transferred from Wilmington to Mount Union in 91, the offense that they had was they were running the veer. So it was option, it was reverse pivot, I mean, it was all that junk. I couldn't do it. And I was at Wilmington throwing 40 times a game, going shotgun, signaling plays in, and the whole deal to that. Well, we had to figure out what we could do. And we evolved and we tried different. We tried to drop back, but my left tackle couldn't move his feet, so I was getting killed. So we didn't do that. So we kind of half rolled. We sprinted out. My point is this, and I said this earlier: he won 93% of his games and 11 national championships. And people ask, why is Mount Union so good? And it's very simple, like you said. Coach Larry Karras would change the offense to the players he had, and he said it: formation, players, play, or something along those lines. Basically saying, I'm not going to run the same offense with this quarterback and this quarterback. If I got an option guy, I'm going to run the option. If I got a drop back guy or a guy that can make every throw, like myself, we threw 35 times in the first half until we blew people out. We run the ball in the third quarter a little bit. The ball kept on and it was done. That's what we did. And then he evolved. When Matt Campbell, I never took a shotgun snap either, which frustrated me because I was 6'4", 220. But I never took a shotgun snap because he wasn't there yet. Well, when Matt Campbell did his grad assistantship at Bowling Green and he came back to Mount Union, then they had the cards and the signals, and then they'd yell at the quarterback, and the quarterback would look to the sideline, and they ran no huddle. And he just kept evolving and evolving and evolving. And the rings just kept slipping on, no matter what he did, because he just kept changing with the players that he had. There was a run where, we have Mount Union has little known fact, little nugget for your listeners out there. The all-time leading rusher in any division history is Nate Kimmick, played at Mount Union. I think he has around 8,000 yards. Unbelievable. So we ran the ball with him. We'd go we'd go one back, we'd go shotgun. But we fed him the ball 35, 40, 42 times a game because he was that good and our offensive line was that good. So, long story short, to your point, you do what your team can do the best. You figure out your personnel and you run what you can to get the most out of those guys collectively. It's not that hard.
Get the most out of them. Yeah. But we say that all the time, but for some reason it seems like it is, man. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And the coaches that do get it are the ones that are successful. I guess my question would be, why do these GMs keep hiring these people that don't understand that fact? That's what I'll never understand. But when you got money like that, the ego comes with it, and can't nobody tell you you're wrong. So that's probably half the problem. So, but anyways,
it's a lot of this at times.
So let's do this real quick. I wanted to ask you a question. I want you to put on your coaching hat, and we're sitting in, and I'm asking this as from somebody that's in Philadelphia to somebody that isn't. So I want your perspective from the outside looking in. How do you think Sirianni has done from your perspective as his first year as our head coach? Coming from, and I'm basing that on what you knew of him when you coached him in the arena.
I was excuse me. I was really curious to see, number one, how he's going to handle the media, not just Philly media, just the media in general. Mm-hmm. And I think he's done a pretty good job with that. There's just so much that comes with being a head coach.
Yeah. I did not start off well in the media, though. I will say that he didn't start off well.
No, it didn't. And you've seen a lot more than I have because I'm in Ohio, so I don't get a lot of the the interviews and the day-to-day, the practices, he's always on TV. And if you want to watch local news, you can always find him. I think, after what the Eagles did last year with Peterson and, him getting fired, all this unknown guy did was come in, not really wow your fans with his interviews and the things that he said and the way he conducted himself and the way he was running the team early. Mm-hmm. And he struggled, he did. And he was just trying to find his way. He was, trying to find out, you got a young quarterback. You essentially have a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach. I mean, think about that. That's one of, if you diagram, one of those situations where it's like, hey, hey, this is going to be one of the hard. You have a rookie quarterback and basically and a rookie head coach with all new coaches on the staff and a team that, might be left over from the Super Bowl. Now they're looking at this guy like, man, we won the Super Bowl like 4 years ago, and this is where we're at. And we got this guy now. I mean, there has to be some of those guys. I mean, and it takes, as a young coach, and if you're a veteran or an older guy that's been in the league 5, 6, 10 years, been around, it's going to take you that much longer to get those guys and to get the locker room, to get the trust, because it's a long process. And maybe one of the blessings of this season was the fact that he started out so poorly, and then he flipped the script and he got things going, and then they found their footing. He started running the ball more. Defense changed up, didn't give up as many points, got on that winning train, and boom, you guys make the playoffs. All he did was do better than what Peterson did last year, who won a Super Bowl. So if you're looking for a guy that wants to do better, if the season, you made the playoffs in his first year.
His first year.
Impressive.
Got to give him his props, man.
And when you talk about Coach of the Year, you can't not mention his name.
Yeah.
He's got to be
definitely be a candidate. He has to be. He has to be.
I'm not saying he's going to win it, but he's in the conversation for what he's done, how he started, how he managed it, how he won the locker room. You saw the interviews like later in the season when he was in the locker room, and you can see the excitement with the guys in the locker room. Like, we got our guy.
They run through that wall.
I really think they're bought in, and that says a lot. That is the biggest compliment that you can have as a coach, to look in your guy's eye and know that he has your back, and I've got his back. And Nick will go to bat for his guys. He's a loyal guy. And he's an honest guy. He's not going to blow smoke. He's not going to be the guy that talks out of both sides of his mouth. He wasn't raised that way.
Right.
He doesn't coach that way and play that way.
That's one of those things that I don't think fans really understand, unless you're not going to know that unless either you coach or you've actually been in the locker room. That's one of those things that get passed over, because all fans see sometimes is the press conference, or they go off of what was regurgitated on Sports Talk, different things like that. So there's a lot more that goes into building those relationships, and a lot of that stuff is underappreciated. It's overlooked, but that type of stuff is the most important stuff. I like how after the whole thing with the Flowers comment, the next couple days of practice, you see all the Eagles wearing shirts with flowers on them. They had his back. I guarantee you, some of them knew, like, come on,
we got to get Coach here. And Jalen made a point in the interview to talk about that.
Yep.
That speaks volumes too, because again, these guys can say whatever they want in an interview, but Jalen was, hey,
backed it up.
You know what? Our roots are growing. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he made a point of talking about the flower and the roots and what Coach Sirianni said. Like, you guys doubting us now? Yeah. Turn the TV on. We're in the playoffs, and a lot of you guys aren't.
Now, one thing, I see you, Eddie Edwards. I appreciate the message, but he's got a good point. As a coach, how can he resist the urge to get pass happy when we're such a dominant run team? Because that's one of the biggest gripes. My wife will tell you there's been many early weeks was I was run the ball. I'm like, this is the kind of stuff that makes my hair grow. Run the ball. But I also know that he's got it in mind with what he wants to do. How do you see a situation like that so he doesn't get pass happy and you stick to what gets you there?
I think that, as time has gone on, and I can't say that I've watched a ton of your games, because we just don't get a lot of Eagles games around here. But I have seen a couple. At the end of the day, man, he's a wide receiver.
Good point.
And
good point.
I mean, my boy likes to sling the rock. He's always been that way. And I think it's easy. I think it's easy to do, because now you have so many options. Run pass options. You're counting guys in the box, and it's a numbers game. So, a lot of times you got your eye on the outside linebacker. You got 7 in the box. If he crashes down, you ride that guy, and then you pull it out and throw it. And some of the pass attempts might not be on Coach Sirianni. It might be on Jalen because he made a bad read. That's one thing that doesn't get talked about because you don't know what plays are called. If there is, 2 plays, if it is an RPO, and if Jalen should have gave the ball on the run and he decided to pull it and it was a bad play or an interception or a force or whatever. So I just think that, especially on the road, that you guys cannot turn the ball over. You can't give them anything. Penalties have to be at a minimum.
Yes.
So they just, Jalen's got to do a good job, of taking care of the ball and just making good decisions, not only in the pass game as far as where he decides to go with the ball, but also in the run game, making sure that he gives it when he's supposed to, as opposed to maybe pulling it on a zone read or pulling it out and throwing it on an RPO. He's got to be sharp in that aspect of the game. I think, with some of the guys coming back from Tampa Bay this week, that they might look to throw the ball a little bit more. I haven't watched Tampa a lot on film to really tell you what they're good at. I mean, obviously you got Ndamukong Suh. You got the white kid at linebacker who's a stud, who's all over the place. I think it's got the first quarter is going to be like the first 3 or 4 rounds in a boxing match. You're going to jab, back off a little bit, kind of get a feel for what they're doing, what you guys can do well, what we can do well. And I think Nick will make a good decision on as far as how he's going to call the offense according to what he gets.
Yeah, and I think we also are getting some players back too. Everybody's been talking Leonard Fournette. Well, we're getting Miles Sanders back, and he's a game breaker. So we're getting a couple of our guys back too. So I think the Eagles have a much better chance than people are giving them credit for. But that's the national media. That's just the way it goes sometimes. But no one likes us, and we don't care. So you know how that goes. But
yeah, the other part of it too, when you're calling plays is how much do we have the ball? Is our defense on the field a lot? Is there long drives? Mm-hmm. I'm looking back not at the Dallas game, but the Washington game. I mean, Jalen threw it 26 times.
Yeah.
That's not like he's, getting pass happy. You had B. Scott with 14 carries. Jalen had 7 carries. Howard had 11. Gainwell and Rieger both had 1. So 25, 27. So they ran it 34 times.
Yes.
And threw it 26.
That's for me, that is right now at his development. That is Jalen's perfect balance. Yes. Anytime we get above 25 passing attempts, I'm like 25 to 30, I'm good with. Anytime you get trying to go above 30, issues pop up. Turnovers, and I'm like, keep them 25 or under, and we're good. You up it a little bit, give it the plus or minus 3, because you're going to get a screen or something that's just like a run, but he's throwing the ball. So I'm like 25 is the sweet spot. Keep it under 30, and I think we're good. I think we're going to pound the ball. I expect a big game, not necessarily out of Miles Sanders, but out of Jordan Howard, because I've said this before, Jordan Howard is our jab. Using that fighter's reference, he's the jab. You keep hitting him square in the nose. Then you put in Miles Sanders, and he's that rib shot.
He's a knockout home run guy.
Yeah. He can take it to the house. So, but I still think that Jordan Howard should be starting, not Sanders. I like Jordan Howard to pound him, soften him up. Then you bring in Miles Sanders. But I know Miles he's the number 1. So I don't think they're going to change that, and I don't have no problem with it. But I like the way Jordan Howard plays. I do get a little irritated, and this is me talking as a running back. I don't like so much side to side running. Running out of shotgun and stuff like that, when I'm like, pistol's okay because you're running downhill. Running backs like to run downhill, especially when you're going tackle to tackle, and especially when you got a 360-pound tackle that can move. Run behind that guy, put your tail back 7 yards deep, and let that joker go downhill. And it's like, we're going right here, stop us. Yeah, and I think the Eagles are good enough to do that. Absolutely, man. So we gotta stick to that. And I'm saying that's just the gripe, but there's plenty of runs where I'm like, stop running sideways, then Miles Sanders takes off for 20. So that's just the gripe. He knows what he's got to do. Nick Sirianni knows what he's got to do. We got the game plan together, and he'll have it together. We'll put on the. I don't want to have a situation like we show up like kind of like. Did you see the? Did you see when Cincinnati played Alabama? I don't want to see that.
Yeah, at least, and you know what? I watched it, and I mean, I really like Coach Fickell. I mean, he's an Ohio State guy. He's done a great job with the program at Cincinnati. But it was one of those things for me that was like, I know Cincinnati's good. I actually have a couple guys, Trey Tucker and Ethan Wright, both Ballard quarterback academy guys that come out and catch balls for me. I've known them, for 5 years, and since they were 8th, 9th grade. Great kids, but I thought going into that game, it's like, man, and I really think that the powers to be in the NCAA is like, all right, Cincinnati, you want to get in the top 4. You're going to play Alabama, and they were going to put Michigan, so they could hoping that the 1 and 4 both went out so that they could get that rematch, which it did, and it turned out to be a hell of a game. Yeah, it was. But I thought Cincinnati going into that game was just overmatched, and when I watched that game, it was just, to me, it looked like they weren't playing to win. They were just playing not to lose. They played tight. Yeah. And they just weren't on. Yeah, they're not at that level yet. Yeah, but I think
Cincinnati that kid, I was upset. I was like, come on, man, y'all at least got to show up. I didn't expect you to win either, but you at least got to show. You got to give me a better showing than that. I was mad.
Come on, throw haymakers. I mean, trick plays. I mean, try and get something going.
The only person that from Cincinnati it looked like they showed up was that running back.
Yeah, the kid.
Everybody else, I was like, I don't know what was going on. But in any case, I was just using that as an example of what I don't want to see out of the Eagles, because you get a lot of talk about, because Jalen Hurts is so young and this is his first playoff appearance, and I'm like, that stuff, in my opinion, it only goes to a certain level, because when you get on the field, you're on the field. Everything goes back to normal. The only difference is in playoffs, the margin for error is much, much thinner. When you throw that long bomb and you overthrow it by a foot and it's just over DeVonta Smith's hands or something like that, those type of plays, you have to make those type of plays when you get the opportunity. That's the difference between regular football and playoff football. So we'll see if the Eagles can pony up and make the things happen, make the plays when you have to make them. So you can't overthrow guys. I know accuracy has been his biggest criticism, rightfully so, but he's gotten a lot better lately. So let's see if he can keep it going.
Yeah, I'd like to see Coach Sirianni get him some layups early. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Get him some layups early. Get him some spot routes. Get him a couple bubble screens. Get him the tunnel or the smoke outside when you just throw it to the wide out on the line of scrimmage and just let him go. Give him some of those to get him going. And you use that as your run game if they're stacking the box and you're having trouble running the ball. I mean that's what a lot of teams do. I mean they throw more, but you're throwing those short, quick passes basically to get hoping to get 4 yards. And I mean it's no different than turning and handing the ball off.
Exactly, and that helps you get your rhythm started. We were looking at, I was looking at the Packers a couple weeks ago, and of course Aaron Rodgers is in the fort running for MVP, rightfully so. But when you look when the Packers play, almost all the time, almost every game, Aaron Rodgers' first pass is a little cross route, 5-yard cross route. Most of the time he completes it, but I'm like, why can't we do that? First play, it's going to be a completion. You're not trying to go to the house on the first play. You're trying to get your rhythm going, get something started, get the blood pumping, and let's go down the field and eat up some clock and get in the end zone. And I'm like, that's what we need to do. And I think he being Sirianni, has gotten better in his play calling to get us to that point. Also, he's a lot more comfortable with Jalen on what he can do, because I've been noticing the last couple of weeks we've been getting the ball to Dallas Goedert a lot, because I think Dallas Goedert is our number one receiver, not DeVonta Smith. And I think Goedert can help open up Smith a lot, so they can feed off each other. But we'll see when you got going on when you got Tom Brady coming in your house. How would you game plan going against the best in the business?
I would do what I can to get him off platform. I mean, if you let him set his feet, I mean, he's gonna break the scalpel out, and it's gonna be the surgeon leg.
Right.
I mean, some of the plays that he made,
crazy.
You know, down the stretch a couple weeks ago when they were down, who was it against? He threw the touchdown pass with a minute left with no timeouts, and he threw a touchdown from like the 25.
Yeah,
and he threw that cover 2 hole shot to the receiver that didn't even play receiver in college. He was a track guy. I mean, he dropped his shoulder. The safety moved a little bit. The corner was down. Safety was over. The safety hesitated, just stuck his feet, and he threaded it. You got to get that guy off platform. You got to get pressure on him. Find a way to get him to move and make him uncomfortable, which is a big task because he's so good at getting the ball out. He doesn't get sacked.
He doesn't. He gets the ball
out in 2.5 to 2.8 seconds. I mean, he's one of the best in the league, and he has been, and that's why he's been playing as long as he has. You got to find a way to.
He's the best since Peyton at stepping up to the line and know exactly what the defense is doing. He's the best since Peyton Manning at doing.
The game is so slow for him. I mean, and to put it in a baseball analogy,
he's always in the zone.
The pitcher is throwing the pitch, and it's like a beach ball coming out of the pitcher's hand, and it's in slow motion, and you're just waiting. I mean, you can see Brady. The ball can't get back to him fast enough. Yeah. He can't get the ball in his hands fast enough. And the one thing that helps is you're not going to have some of the receivers this week. You're not going to have AB. He's obviously no longer a Buccaneer.
That's a whole nother conversation. But
but
you're right.
That is a whole nother conversation. But he's not playing. Gronkowski is going to be back. Fournette out of the backfield will help him, and he's still got enough guys on the outside. Evans is playing this week, I believe. Godwin is out with an ACL injury. The one tight end Brait, I think he's been a good target. He just makes people better around him. I mean, that's why he's so good. I mean, guys that you're like, who's this guy? And then you look down, and the guy has 5 catches for 90 yards or whatever, and it's like like the kid from Alabama, the track guy.
Yeah,
caught the touchdown a couple weeks ago.
You didn't watch film on him. He's played 3 plays in the last 12 games or whatever. So he's the best at, again, because he comes from Belichick. What do you do best? That's what you're gonna do. And you can tell a lot of times Tom is making it up when he like, nope, let's change this up. This is what you're gonna do. And he eats people alive like that. And he's the best at it, period. Aaron Rodgers is good. Tom Brady is better. I know they got this running thing like Rodgers should win the MVP. And I'm like, come on, man. It's like Tom Brady's on a whole nother level right now. And on top of that, the dude is 44, man.
Right.
Like,
you know why? The guy's been in a hyperbaric chamber for 20 years.
You go.
Been in the chamber, man.
There you go. What did
a lot of these guys getting it?
Since you brought that up, tell us about am I saying it right? Elevate?
Yeah, I work for a company called Elevate Health. We do hyperbaric chambers, which is oxygen therapy. We do red light therapy. We have red light caps that help with to repair the brain after practice. Really powerful stuff. I was able to, my wife and I were able to broker a deal. We helped sign the NFL Alumni Association to a contract. They're partnered with us for 3 years, and excited about that. Some of our clients, Denzel Ward, Njoku, Russell Wilson has bought some chambers, to name a few.
Now, what's the benefit of a chamber? Like, what do you get from
it? Basically, it's let me put it to you like this: Lance Armstrong and Tour de France, Tour de France, right? He got busted for blood doping, correct?
Right.
So what happened was he would run the race, and he would be completely depleted of oxygen. So he was pumping oxygen back into his system. Mm-hmm. Well, what a hyperbaric chamber does is you're below sea level. It's 7'4" long, and you get in it, and it just pumps oxygen in there. And what it does, when you breathe oxygen, you only take in about 95%. It doesn't go straight into your cells. But when you get into the chamber, it goes through your skin into your bloodstream, which helps you with better circulation.
Mm-hmm.
It also goes straight into your mitochondria, which gets in the cells, which immediately helps you start
recovery,
coming back from injuries quicker.
Yep.
It helps you breathe better. It helps your blood pressure. It creates a lot of collagen, which keeps your joints lubricated, which also keeps you looking younger for the women out there. But what it does is it just saturates your blood with oxygen quicker. And the more that you do it, and it helps repair the brain. Joe Namath, there's a great interview with Joe Namath that he did with Howard Stern. And at the beginning, they took a picture of Joe's brain. And then they took a picture of him after he did 40 dives or 40 times in the chamber.
Right.
Took another picture. After 80 dives, another picture. 120 dives, another picture. By the end of it, after 120 dives, Joe Namath's brain looks like a 45-year-old. It completely repairs it. And it took away a lot of the black spots in the brain, which leads to CTE,
right?
Which a lot of guys experience and have.
Absolutely. I've been knocking on wood, man. I haven't had any, a lot of people I talk to, short-term memory loss. I think that's kind of like universal. But other than that, man, my marbles are still in place. Thank God. So, but that's I started thinking about that
man.
Because after you told me that, and then the Eagles went on that. We played Washington. They moved it. They moved the game. So we essentially played like 3 short week games in a row. So I was like, that's a situation. That's where treatment and technology like that really comes into play, where you can recover a lot faster.
And they say, I mean, statistically, it's right around 60 to 70%. So you can heal injuries faster, not to mention the fact that you got better circulation. Your body can fight off diseases and viruses, which I think there's some sort of virus out there that's causing like this big pandemic that people keep talking about. I don't know what it is, COVID or something. But no, it's and the thing is, it's been around for a long time, and there's a lot of people that just don't know about it. But it's out there, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the company. I mean, it's really family based. They're based out of California, and we'll be at the Super Bowl this year as one of the sponsors. We'll be at the Combine again. Some of our other clients are Masvidal, Vitor Belfort, John Jones. For now, until we find out what happened in Vegas.
Yeah, ain't that something?
But
are you going down to the game? Are you going down to the Super Bowl?
I don't know. After everything that happened, not sure what I'm going to do as of yet. Yeah, I'll probably just let everybody, because our company's based out of Irvine, so It's not a big trek for them to take everything out there. But we'll see. Right. I'd like to. But it's exciting what we're doing, and it's really cool that we're partnered with the NFL Alumni Association. We're knocking on doors and just trying to get more players to get chambers, and there's just so many athletes out there that we can help, and we're the largest manufacturer for consumers in the world. We got one of the top 5 hyperbaric chamber doctors, or hyperbaric medicine doctors, I should say, excuse me, in the world that can consult with athletes and is on our staff. So it's really exciting, and I'm glad to be part of it. And I'm just glad that, I have a chamber, number one, because I know what's done for me and my wife, and I'm in my kids getting in it.
Yeah.
They love
you
it.
Told me that one day your dog gets in it.
Yeah. My dog, we got our dog snipped, and my wife gets in it quite a bit. And, so she took him in there, and, he kind of fussed a little bit. And after that, about 5 minutes, knocked out, and, I helped him recover, and he looks good down there now. So no scarring, no issues. So, stuff, works, man, for your pets too.
Well, listen, brother, I appreciate you getting on the call with me, man. It was definitely good talking with you. We definitely got to figure out how we can get some Scottish Claymores on here, man. We got to represent our brothers. So if I can get some people to get on, maybe we can do get 3 or 4 people on here, man. We can have a chat. So we'll make that happen, brother. But definitely good talking to you, man. We still gonna talk, and talk
Yes,
about
sir. You know
Sirianni
that.
and football. And but I really appreciate you, brother. Stay
Anytime,
safe.
man. Appreciate you letting me be on the show and give some wisdom, give some, inside info on Nick and his family. And he's just, he's just a good guy, man. I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
I've known him since he was literally a kid, and I've watched him grow up, and I watched him as a player. I had the fortune of coaching him. And it was in a minor league arena team with the Canton Legends, and
Right.
we had a lot of fun. And he's a good player, great hands, and could route. Might have been the fastest guy, like his brother, but man, you got the ball anywhere near him. His catch radius was big, and he has pretty big hands. So he was a hell of a wideout. Had around 1,000 yards senior year, and won a couple national championships. So the guy knows what it takes to win. He's been around winning, some of the winningest coaches ever. He'll continue to grow as a coach, and you guys got a good guy that I really think is going to be there for a number of years.
All right, man. We will definitely revisit with your brother. Keep us on your schedule. We're going to definitely come back and talk again, man. But I appreciate you. And you go get some rest, bro, and I will holler at you later.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate the time. I'll talk to you soon, Marcus.
You got it. That was my boy Jim Ballard from the Scottish Claymores, the Buffalo Bills. He's played with a lot of teams. Good dude. Definitely good to reconnect with him. There's one story I wanted him to tell. I forgot about it, but maybe we'll get it later when he was talking about. He told me a story a couple weeks ago about when he was with Buffalo. Doug Flutie was in Buffalo, and Doug Flutie took him up to Canada. It was just a funny story. So, but in any case, we're back, and we are all jazzed up for the playoffs, man. We are ready to go. There has been a lot of people, social media, on the news and all the morning football shows and stuff like that, jumping on the Eagles bandwagon. But I say there's room to do it. If you want to get on, jump on. It's all good. Because nobody thought we were going to be here. I'm going to keep stressing that point. Nobody thought we were going to be here. Give Nick his props. Give Nick his props. And just to throw the dig in, what the heck happened to Wentz? Appreciate you for that draft pick, Carson. Appreciate you a lot, bro. But I don't know what's going to happen with him. It is a cutthroat business because they're already talking about, I'm not sure what's going to happen next year. I don't know. I can't make any decisions. They're giving that coach speak about what's going to happen next year. So that is very interesting. But in any case, he balled out long enough for us to get our draft picks. Props to Howie. You put it together. You made it happen, bro. So that's on you. So all the people that don't like Howie Roseman, you got to give him props for that. He made that deal and a couple other deals that has gotten us into this position right here. So he's got to get the props for that, like him or not. So, and let me see. We can talk about this next week. I'm going to save that for next week. Definitely going to say that for next week. The one thing I wanted to get into a little bit, we touched on it a little bit, was all of these coaches on this carousel are going nuts, man. Did not expect to see Flores fired. I think it was a huge mistake. We'll see what happens with that. Haven't heard anything about Jacksonville. First, it was Doug Peterson was the big name going to interview in Jacksonville. Now they're talking about him in Chicago. So there's a lot of people pulling for Peterson. There's going to be a lot of people pulling for Flores. And some of these other coaches are on the hot seat. Joe Judge got fired. I think that was this morning. A lot of stuff going on, man. And it's nice to know that a year ago we were in the same situation. We were in the same situation, scrambling around to see what we were going to do. And I still say that the Eagles did not intend to hire Nick Sirianni. That's what they were left with. Because in my opinion, they probably would have went with a different choice if they would have had better options. They would have had better options if they didn't have to do a last-minute search. But we got who we got, and he's making things happen. So sometimes that's the way it goes. I remember when we hired Doug Peterson. If you remember Doug Peterson, even though he was from that Green Bay coaching tree,
Doug Peterson was coaching high school ball. So he got the same kind of response that Sirianni got. Because when they hired Sirianni, we were like, who? And then, of course, they bring back, and he was with Kansas City, and he was with Indy, and all the places he had gone. So he had the experience, but still, that's not somebody that was at the top of your list. So, but that's the way the story's being written. So he is keeping it going. He made the playoffs his first year, and that's all we really care about as Eagles fans. Now, in my opinion, win or lose, Sirianni, we're golden. Gannon, I still got gripes, but we're golden. I don't think Gannon's going to be around long. I think somebody's going to give him a head coaching job, or at least he's going to get a lot of offers, whether he'll take them or not. I don't know. It's a big thing when you go from a coordinator to a head coach. You got a lot more responsibility. Sometimes you lose focus because you can't just do one thing. You got to do everything as a head coach. That's why some coordinators don't make good head coaches. You can be good at one thing, and then the minute they throw something else at you, you're like, you lose it. So you have to be careful, and you hope the GMs and the powers that be are, when they make those decisions, that you're hiring a guy that can handle all of the extra stuff. Because now we're in a whole different world now. With you got to handle players, the other coaches, media, and not for nothing else, the biggest probably headache that NFL coaches have to deal with now is social media. Because social media is the one thing that you have zero control over. Prime example is our own Nick Sirianni with the Flowers comment. They were ripping him on social media. He was catching hell. And guaranteed we would still be bringing that up to the end of the season if he didn't turn the season around. Guaranteed. That's a no-brainer. We would still be bringing that up. I expect next year, and they do this every year, not people from Philly, people from the outside of Philly. There'll be some program list or something like that where they're going to talk about how bad Philly fans are. And I guarantee you they're going to show Nick Sirianni walking in the tunnel getting hit with a bouquet of flowers. That was funny. I ain't gonna lie. But they're gonna show that stuff. He was getting ripped for it, but he turned it around and he's making it happen. So I am ready to go. So do me a favor, if you're still logged in on the chat, what do you think? Give me your score predictions. Give me your score predictions for the game versus Tampa Bay. Are you thinking the Eagles are going to win? Realistically, do you think Tampa Bay is going to win? Keep it real. And who do you think is going to take this game? Going back, looking at the last time we played Tampa and how that game went down and how much better we played and how we brought it back in the second half of that game, I can only wonder what would have happened if we had run the ball in the first half of that game. Sometimes I think that's a unconscious thing. Like when I was asking Jim, what does it take for somebody like Sirianni, like run the ball? You got to get over that mental hump, run the ball. And like he said, he's a wide receiver. Great answer. But to come over that hump, if we could have ran the ball successfully in the first half of that game, what could have been? So we're in a situation where we have the opportunity to go at it again, to rewind it. So now you got a second shot at him. You got a second shot at the king. So we can take the king down. That's where it's at. They got a lot of injuries. They got some people back. So do we. I think we have a better chance than people are giving us. But it all depends on if Sirianni is going to run the ball effectively. So I've seen enough from him now to trust that I believe he's going to come up with a good game plan. I believe that. I wouldn't say that before earlier in the season, but I'm comfortable in saying that now. So we'll see what's going to happen. But listen, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to keep prepping for this game and take my notes for this game on Sunday. And I'm all about the Fly Eagles Fly. I am predicting that the Birds will win 24-21. We're going to have a stellar run game, and we are not going to start off slow. That's going to be our key. We're not going to start off slow. We're going to have a solid first half, solid second half, and we're going to come out on top. But that's why they play the game. So we will see on Sunday. So appreciate you guys joining in. I appreciate my boy Jim Ballard touching base with me and chopping it up with me for a bit. I will be back next week, and we will be talking about the Eagles' victory. All right? So you guys have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Fly Eagles Fly. Go Birds. Let's get it. Peace.